Well, we are here in Stafford, Virginia today with about 40 AFP activists, and we're here part of the Obama's Failing Agenda bus tour to just send a message and highlight policies that are failing America.
It is a beautiful day. It's a Saturday morning, and you're indoors preparing for training to go out and talk to voters. That is not a normal activity, and the fact that you're doing this 59 days before an election shows that you really have the interests of this country at heart.
But we are traveling throughout the country just highlighting policies that have failed. And one thing that AFP does is educate voters, and that's what we all are asking you guys to do today.
That's why you're going to win if you do your job. For 2.5 years, 136 weeks, pollsters have asked two questions about Barack Obama. The first question is, do you approve of the President's job performance? The second question is, do you believe he deserves re-election? For 136 weeks, Gallup polls and all the other major polls, with the exception of the 1 week that Osama bin Laden died, with that one exception, for 136 weeks he has been below 50% on those two questions. Right now his average is 46. Incumbent presidents have 100% name ID. Everyone has an opinion of them. If 54% of the people either oppose you or are undecided, you're heading for defeat. Because that means everybody has an opinion of you and they're not ready to commit. Did anyone think President Obama's speech on Thursday night was a game changer? Raise your hand. Now, admittedly, you know, they got the lighting. The lighting was really bad at the Democratic Convention. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't get Barack Obama out of Bill Clinton's shadow in the lighting department. But seriously, if you do your job, if you knock on those doors and you pick up those cell phones and you motivate people who already decided to vote, or you inspire people to vote, or you just get people to thinking, if you do your job, you're going to win. At 46% approval, an incumbent president under normal circumstances, unless there's a dramatic change in the debate, a dramatic foreign policy decision, which, believe me, can go against the incumbent as much as it can go for the incumbent, depending on how it goes, you're going to win. You just have to execute the plan, you have to do the work, and you have to make sure it gets done, so that the day after the election you don't wake up and say, God, if only I'd done a little bit more.
americasforprosperity.org or failingagenda.com, and they can see the list of events where the bus is going to be stopping in their area. And we've got several in Virginia today. I know we're also in Wisconsin today, and there'll be stops all the way through the end of October. And we're so excited to have the bus make a stop here. And as soon as we finish up here, we're going to head down to Richmond and make a stop there. And then on Monday, we'll be back heading down south to Danville.
Okay. Well, this election is going to determine everything, because not only is the presidency up, but the Congress and governorships in many states. So this will decide what direction we're going in. I think it's going to be a mandate for one side or the other. And the way to do that is to talk to friends and neighbors. All of us, because of the internet, can become a publisher. You can assemble the email lists of every one of your friends, relatives, and neighbors, and you can send them articles and information that you think best describes what this choice is and why it's such an important choice. All of us can do our part, even if we don't knock on doors, even if we don't make phone calls. We can contact everyone we know, because the most effective thing in politics is word of mouth. People trust not so much TV ads and not so much phone calls from strangers. They trust what their friends, neighbors, or relatives think, and think is important enough to convey to them. You know, know, the American dream is all about passing on an America that's better and more prosperous to our children and our grandchildren. And sadly, the last few years, fewer and fewer people in audiences I speak to think that's going to be possible. So I think this is the election in which we determine whether or not we can reverse these trends and go back to first principles, or whether or not we're going to become more and more a European social democracy, a very comfortable, slowly declining place that's basically a museum country, not a country that's on the cutting edge of innovation or prosperity, but one that's comfortable with its mediocrity. You know, rather than hope and change, the new slogan is, we just hope people aren't fed up enough to have a change. And I think they recognize the last 4 years have been a disappointment. They simply think we need more time. I say we've given them enough time. 4 years is enough to basically conclude the direction we're going in isn't working. And too much of the American public isn't working for us to continue on this course. So at the Democratic Convention, I heard lots of promises and platitudes. I didn't hear very many specifics about what's going to be done that's any different. What we're doing now isn't working.
Great.
So having said that, if Ronald Reagan were here, he would say the same thing he said in 1977, 1993. You can win again. All you have to do is recognize the liberal policies have failed and tell people about them and say we have a different path. And it's worked before, it will work again. And we know they failed, just the numbers that I indicated to you. And that's your mission today, to go out and tell people there's a better way, there are better policies. And if we keep going down this route, well, I'll tell you the biggest change I've noticed in Americans. A few years ago I started asking people, do you believe your children and your grandchildren will have a better life than you did? Which is the essence of the American dream. And almost everyone would raise their hand. And I ask you, do you believe right now, as we are now, do you believe your children and grandchildren will have a better life than you do? That has changed. That's why you're here. You are here because this is not America, when no one raises their hand. I want it to be that everyone here raises their hand in a few years, because we will have taken this country back. We will have changed this country. We will have returned it to first principles. That's your mission. And in conclusion, someday, I don't know if it's going to be your children or your grandchildren or your great-grandchildren, but someday they will be sitting around and they will be asking, what happened in 2012? What happened? Did you have anything to do with that? And you'll be able to say, I was there in summer and fall of 2012 when, for the third time in 3 generations, we took America back. We saved America from socialism, because that's effectively where we're headed. And you will be the next generation of American heroes. Because you know, it seems that every third generation is called upon to make great sacrifices in this country. Whether it's the generation that won the Revolutionary War, the generation that had to fight the Civil War and end the scourge of slavery, the generation that had to endure the Great Depression and win World War II. And now we have a generation that is going to have to fight and make sure that we can beat back socialism effectively. If you do that, I think you will be able to turn to your children or your grandchildren or your great-grandchildren and say, I was there, I played a small part, but I was part of something historic, I was part of something heroic, and we won. Thank you.